New people who are interested in getting ounces and they're less interested in what kind. So I would say whatever's been on special has been very popular.
Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. And while it is Tuesday and time for our physical silver market report, Andy Scheckman and Miles Franklin on a well-earned vacation out doing a little skiing today. Although, obviously, even when Andy is out of town and offline, the silver roll is still continuing on. Unfortunately, by popular request, we have Yara Sofia joining us today, who is obviously a part of the Arcadia channel, which I think a lot of you know. And in case you did not, now you do. And she also handles the orders that we receive for gold and silver. So been wanting to have her on for a while. And also she can help fill in some of the things that have been going on in terms of what she's seeing on the physical level, and touch on premiums and order flow and what customers are saying, what people are calling in and asking about when they do inquire. So, Yar, it's a pleasure to see you on the other end of our call today, and thanks for joining us here. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me on the show. It's awesome to be here. Everything is well, and I'm excited to be here with the land of Arcadia with all you Arcadians. So, hello, everyone.
Well, good to have you on here. And let's dig right in, because obviously we've seen a shift in the premiums over the past year or so, and would be curious if you could give us an update on where things stand now, and perhaps walk us through how we got here and just the trends and what people would find helpful to know as they're looking at the silver market and what's going on the retail level on the physical side.
Well, it seems to me that the premium levels have come down significantly from when we were seeing them at pretty much all-time highs during the pandemic, and even through the last March, I believe, was pretty ridiculous as far as the American Silver Eagles in particular, but across the board. And now it seems like everything has come down to probably the best rates that it's been since I've been a broker, as far as premiums on Eagles and on all the other products as well.
Okay, that makes sense, and certainly what we've been hearing from Andy. Can you remind people back in March around where premiums on Eagles were and what they are looking like now?
That at the time they were going for $16 to $18 over spot per ounce at a time when silver was around $22 to $23. So the percentage was pretty hefty. And now they're back down to around $5. And that seems a lot more in line with what, people would expect for maybe not what people would feel like maybe a ridiculous rate to pay.
Yeah, well, they have come down quite a bit. And the people who are calling and writing in, what are they most primarily interested in these days?
In terms of what kind of silver or why they're calling?
In terms of silver types first, and then we'll get to why they're calling. But what are they going for when they do call in?
It's been a lot of new people who are interested in getting ounces and they're less interested in what kind. So I would say whatever's been on special has been very popular, at least amongst the people that I've been talking to, where they want to accumulate as many ounces as possible. It does seem like people who are new stackers are interested in buying coins and rounds, which I think is a great place to start. You don't necessarily want to start with 1,000 ounce bar, unless you're planning on, maybe getting more of those and having more fungible alternatives. But yeah, it's mostly people buying bars in smaller bars, like 10-ounce bars, and the 1-ounce coins and rounds.
Okay. And do you also still get a lot of people who are just looking for Eagles and junk silver in particular? Obviously, having a little bit more recognizability, and there's premiums on the Eagles, and junk silver being closely associated with that, where we saw the higher premiums, but another one of the top products that people like to go to, especially since it is minted by a US mint.
I think the Eagles and the junk silver have both seen a lot of action as far as people being interested in them for one of the reasons that we just talked about, which is the premium. They're down significantly, and they are maybe coming to the forefront more because there are more people talking about potentially using them as currency in different state bills that are being brought forward. But people are interested in the U.S. silver as much as I've ever seen. I'm relatively new, but I like to listen to what Andy says, and Bill Holter in particular. After people hear Bill Holter, they always call and want to buy junk silver and Eagles.
Okay, and what questions do people generally have, perhaps especially people on the newer side who are just getting into silver? The common questions that people have that perhaps out there in the audience, someone watching today might have, and what are people generally asking when they call in?
If someone is brand new, it's like their first silver purchase, they oftentimes want to know what is the best thing for me to buy and how much should I buy to be protected? Those are two questions I get from people who are maybe just getting even into the concept of silver as protecting their wealth or even a means of savings. So it's first of all, it's what kind should I buy and how much do I need to be protected?
And what do you tell them when they ask those questions?
Well, that's a different answer for every person depending on their personal situation, which is why it's so important for people to talk to someone who might have more experience on what to think about as you're planning for your future. But it definitely depends on people's individual circumstances. I do think that for a lot of people, what they want to know is if I can't get my money out of the bank, what am I going to be able to use to get by in the meantime until there's another currency or things of that nature? So a lot of times people are interested in the constitutional silver for the potential for bartering and being able to use it in their day-to-day lives. So there are different answers for every person, but the common answer would be any silver that you're holding is better than not having silver. So go with what feels right and comfortable for you based off of where you are in your lifetime and in your investing in your future.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly well said because obviously there are some people who have a few ounces, some people who have many ounces, and I think it's important not to try and match what anyone else is doing, but figure out what is right for you and not feel. Go ahead.
Oh, just to roll off that, one thing that people ask kind of regularly as well is how is silver actually going to help me in the future? And that's a fun conversation to have too, because that's another thing where it could be different for different people in different scenarios, whether you're living in a city and maybe you have to barter with other people who have shops or this or that, or having a community that you live in maybe more rurally where you're trading other things and maybe silver is part of that. So it's fun to think about in a scenario where we don't know how things are going to turn out, how silver can be a part of that in whatever scenario plays out for each of us.
Okay, that makes sense. And people do you get clients that are looking at the shorter term and hoping to trade in and out of silver, which is a little bit trickier to do on the physical side, or is it generally mostly people who are looking as a store of wealth over the long term and staying hedged against whatever the Fed has cooked up next, which in one way or another seems to be that there's more money printing down the road. But what is the general mindset of the people that you're talking with?
I would say it's a long-term mindset for in general, with the caveat to that being some people are interested in trading some of their gold for silver based off of the gold silver ratio being where it's at. So I would say the short term mindsets of people is how can I maximize the amount of metal that I'm holding in the current market conditions, not so much can I trade this for that and grow my portfolio. So I think people are buying and holding. This is a long game that most people are playing. So I haven't had anybody who's trading, like trying to arb silver back here or there.
Right.
It's a long.
Okay, and the last one I have for you here, what are you seeing in terms of gold versus silver? Is there one that people are skewing more heavily towards, and any thoughts on advice you would give people there when they ask about gold versus silver?
I actually had more gold orders in the last few months than I've had the whole time I've been working at Miles Franklin, and I wouldn't want to extrapolate too far out because that's a personal experience. But the things that people are telling me, the people who are buying gold are people who generally already have quite a bit of silver, and they're thinking more about space and having maybe more diversification within their portfolio if they were really, really heavy on the silver. So I've had more gold orders than I've had. I don't know that I would say that that's a trend since our viewership is generally pretty silver focused. So potentially they might already have a lot of silver having been stackers for a while and are now looking to maybe get a gold cherry on top.
Okay, that makes sense. And I can certainly understand. I mean, I've been thinking about gold more than in past years, especially when you see what the central banks are doing. You see I think it makes an impact that gold being over 2,000 bucks, having
Yeah.
recently hit its all-time high, and you hear a lot about it being invoked in different ways as a store of value on a higher level. So I think that has had its impact, and certainly something to take heed of. Something I've been thinking about as well. And again, there's differences to each, although fortunately, if people have questions, I know you help them through that. And one of the things that I think people appreciate, not pressuring anyone into one route or the other, but trying to help them find what feels right to them. And perhaps just in wrapping up, did headquarters pass along anything that is on special this week that if people are interested in silver right now that they should know about?
Well, the boss is on vacation, so I think we're actually keeping last week's special running, which is incredible. If you do want to add to your stack in the larger quantities, we do have 100-ounce bars that are on special for 139 over spot per ounce, and they're Valcambi bars and acai bars. They're both extremely beautiful and wonderful to add to your stack. Is if you already have 1 ounce coins and bars or already have enough constitutional silver. I think these are a great way to, you know, put in a shoebox and under your bed or lose in a boating accident, whatever happens. Like they're a great size and they're at a great price. So if you do want to add a heftier addition to your stack, a 100-ounce bar is a great way to go, especially at a great price like that.
Yeah, and certainly it's interesting seeing $1.39 over spot, which is quite a bit below where we've seen just about any premium in the past couple of years. And Yar, could you just let people know if they would like to ask questions, get any insight, or if they're interested in the bars or anything else, what's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me is at arcadia@milesfranklin.com. And I get all the emails. I am happy to answer questions. I love talking to people who are just getting into it or people who have been stacking forever. I hear so many cool stories from people who have been in this for longer than me and why it's such a cool way to connect to other people that are like-minded. So for me, it's a pleasure to get to be part of this community in that role because I get to not only meet cool people but help them get what they want, and I really enjoy all of my interactions. So email me at arcadia@milesfranklin.com and I would love to send you a price sheet or talk over whatever's going on in the markets, and it's a pleasure to get to interact with all the stackers.
Well, appreciate that. Appreciate you filling in for Andy this week and shedding some light. Great to get your insight as you're seeing this directly on the front lines as well. And certainly with everything headed up into March, as well as the election and a lot of reasons to believe that there's going to be money flowing, will be an interesting year. So great to get your opinions on here today. And we'll have Andy back next Tuesday. But Yara, thanks for joining us. And thanks to everyone at home. Hope you're having a great day out there too. And we will see you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.